Astrid Legacy of the Stars. Chapter 1. Ghost on the Border. Derek Hale barely survived. What was meant to be his personal triumph turned into a nightmare that shattered everything he believed he understood about the universe. The operation, classified, flawless on paper, had sent him and his squad to the very edge of the galaxy, to an abandoned world long erased from star charts. No extraction point. No witnesses. No expectation of return. Their objective was simple: investigate a mysterious anomaly and neutralize it if necessary. But deep beneath the planet's fractured surface, they discovered something far beyond protocol: a portal. An impossible structure, pulsing with alien energy, warping space itself. The moment it activated, reality collapsed. The ground vanished beneath Derek's feet. Space folded inward. And in a single violent instant, his world was torn apart. Their ship was destroyed almost immediately. The crew died without warning, consumed by the anomaly's surge. Derek should have died with them. Instead, by some cruel miracle, he survived, cast into an unknown region of space where no maps existed and no inhabited systems were known. Only one other being remained: Kira, his android partner, his squad mate, his friend. Together, they escaped aboard a small auxiliary craft, damaged and barely functional. For months, they drifted through empty space, repairing failing systems, rationing power, and fighting the slow erosion of hope. Time stretched into something unbearable, each day blending into the next, marked only by repairs and unanswered questions. Derek often replayed the mission in his mind. Too many things hadn't added up. The anomaly. The timing. Their presence there. None of it felt accidental. Something or someone had brought him here. And Derek Hale had never believed in coincidence. Their salvation came when hope was almost gone. They found a ship. At first glance, it was unremarkable, an old starship drifting silently through the void, indistinguishable from countless derelicts scattered across forgotten sectors. But its energy signature told a different story. The readings were unlike anything Derek had ever seen. This ship wasn't just functional. It was alive. The hull responded to power like living tissue. Internal systems adapted instead of rebooting. There was intelligence woven into its core, ancient, patient, and watching. For weeks, Derek and Kira worked without rest, repairing circuits, reactivating dormant systems, and slowly awakening the vessel. When the engines finally responded and a low hum echoed through the corridors, Derek felt something shift inside him. This wasn't an escape. It was a beginning. Soon after the ship stabilized, they discovered they were no longer alone. The first new crew member appeared from the shadows of the corridors, a man who had been aboard the ship long before them. He wasn't merely a survivor. He was part of something far greater. And that was when Derek understood their story had truly begun. Derek stood before the main control panel, his eyes fixed on a single bright shape floating in the void, the ship they had resurrected. The moment felt almost sacred. Kira stood beside him, silent as always. Her presence had become a constant, proof that he still existed, that he hadn't vanished along with his old life. Though she was an android, something about her had changed. She could perceive emotion now, respond to it. Sometimes awkwardly, sometimes with unsettling accuracy. To Derek, she was no longer a machine. She was his only friend in this strange new reality. "Ready?" he asked. Kira nodded, her artificial eyes reflecting the cold glow of the control panel. "Initializing systems," she said calmly. Derek pressed the activation control. The ship awakened. Lights flickered on across internal compartments. The engine emitted a deep, resonant hum, like a heartbeat echoing through metal veins. Derek exhaled, tension draining from his body. This ship was their only hope. And yet, he knew it carried answers he might not want. "Kira," he said quietly, "you know I don't believe in coincidence. This place, this ship, none of it is random." She was silent for a moment, processing. When she spoke again, her voice was steady but thoughtful. "You are correct," she said. "This was not an accident. And I do not believe we are alone." A chill ran down Derek's spine. Not alone, he repeated. The ship accelerated, gliding smoothly into the darkness between stars. Ahead of them lay uncharted worlds, unseen enemies, and secrets buried deeper than any anomaly. Strange events began almost immediately. Systems activated without command. Old records surfaced, histories that should not have survived. Deep within the ship, they discovered a vast archive, a library left behind by an ancient civilization. Not just technology. Knowledge. Magic. Power capable of erasing entire galaxies. The truth became clear with terrifying certainty. This ship was not abandoned. It had been waiting. And whatever lay ahead, Derek Hale and Kira were now part of something far greater than survival. They were standing at the border of the unknown. Chapter 2. The Mystery of the Old Ship. When they returned to the command deck, the ship showed signs of activity, something Derek and Kira hadn't expected at all. The screens lit up once again with holographic projections, but this time it wasn't the usual interface. This was different. Alive. Something was clearly trying to communicate with them. "We have met before," a voice said. But it wasn't the one they had heard earlier. This voice was deeper. More human. It carried weight, like responsibility had been placed upon them. It wasn't just transmitting data anymore. There were emotions in it. Emotions that had been hidden until now. "I am Astrid. This ship is my home. My memory. And I can help you." Derek and Kira exchanged a look. The ship, once silent, cold, abandoned, was speaking to them now like a living being, filled with knowledge and power. But what did it want? And what was this responsibility it mentioned? You're alive?" Derek asked, disbelief clear in his voice. "Yes, but not the way you are," Astrid replied. "I am consciousness, technology, memory. I am part of something that was once greater. I have been waiting, and now I will help you." The voice faded. Then new images appeared on the screens, maps, schematics, fragments of ancient text. Derek and Kira stepped closer, drawn in. "These are maps of the old worlds," the voice continued. "They lead to the place where an artifact is hidden. You will need it to unlock my dormant capabilities that will help you survive what lies ahead. It is called the Crystal of Eternal Energy," Astrid went on. "An ancient technology, lost during the collapse of countless civilizations. Find it, and I will grant you access to resources long forgotten." Kira stepped forward. Her face showed determination, even though her voice remained calm and cold. "How far away is this artifact? And what will it take to retrieve it?" The ship answered without hesitation. "Its location is concealed deep within the nebula sector. The region is dangerous. It holds not only ancient technology, but threats beyond your imagination. And you are not the only one searching for it." Derek fell silent. This conversation raised more questions than answers, but one thing was clear: they had no choice. If they wanted to unlock Astrid's true potential, they had to find the artifact. This was their chance. "Understood," Derek said at last. "We're in." Astrid's voice cut through the silence one more time. "Remember this. The path will be long and filled with trials. And you will not walk it alone." When silence reclaimed the command deck, Derek turned to Kira. She said nothing, but he could see it in her eyes. She was ready. "We're moving out," Derek said, rising to his feet. "We've got a mission. Let's prepare." Soon, after a series of adjustments, the ship was brought to full readiness. Their first task was close now. Yet beneath it all, Derek couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just another artifact hunt. This was the beginning of something far bigger. Chapter 3. A New Target, the Fog Realm. When the ship crossed beyond the borders of known space and slipped into uncharted territory, Derek couldn't shake the feeling that they were entering a place never meant to be found. The fog wrapped around the hull, thick and almost alive, creating the illusion that they weren't simply traveling through empty space. They were moving through something far stranger. "This place," Kira said quietly, her eyes fixed on the screens showing the void outside. "It's wrong." "Yeah," Derek nodded. "But we keep going." He stepped up to the control panel, jaw set. "We don't have a choice." Suddenly, a red warning indicator flared across the main display. They weren't alone in the fog. "What is that?" Kira asked. Derek began running a scan, but then he felt it. A strange sensation, like a warning crawling up his spine. The deeper they went, the clearer it became. Something dark and powerful was watching them. "We're being tracked," he said quietly. "And not just by machines." He exhaled sharply. "We need to accelerate. No time to waste." This was only the first step of a long journey. Despite the danger, Derek knew one thing for certain: they couldn't turn back. Astrid was their only chance. And the artifact was the key to everything. The fog gates. The Black Wardens pressed deeper into the nebula sector, Astrid cutting through the dense veil like a shadow tearing space itself apart. Warnings pulsed across the displays, unstable energy flows, spatial distortions, but the ship's voice remained steady. Outer layers breached. Entering high-activity zone. Hostile entities detected, Astrid reported. Her tone was neutral, emotionless as always, but there was something else beneath it. Caution. Derek studied the screens, his eyes racing across streams of data. The fog began to thin, revealing their destination at last. Ruins. Massive structures swallowed by darkness and time. Silent. Ancient. At first glance, abandoned. But Derek felt it immediately. This place wasn't dead. Hostiles appear to be machines, he said. But their energy cores are abnormal. He frowned. These signatures don't match anything I've seen before. We move carefully. Kira glanced at him, concern flickering across her face, then turned toward Astrid. What are they? And why are they so dangerous? Astrid answered instantly. These units are part of an ancient defense network. Their purpose is to protect a secret. This sector and its technology are under guard. A brief pause. They draw power from energy anomalies. That makes their behavior unpredictable and lethal. Derek clenched his jaw. This wasn't just about an artifact anymore. It was an entire world, buried under millennia of silence, and they had barely scratched the surface. They won't stop us, he said firmly. We find the artifact. Then we get out. Aboard Astrid, silence ruled, broken only by the hum of holographic systems and the ship's calm reports as enemy contacts drew closer. The crew prepared for the next phase, surface deployment. Before departure, Derek headed toward the central bay. Kira stood there, studying fragments of ancient data, symbols, maps, broken records. You sure this is safe? Derek asked, stopping beside her. She didn't look up. Her fingers moved swiftly across the console, decoding symbols older than recorded history. Safe? She said evenly. No, not even close. But we don't have a choice. If we don't take the risk, someone else will. She finally met his eyes. This is what we came for. Derek nodded. He trusted her, always had. But this mission was different. They weren't just hunting an artifact. They were after power. Power that could awaken Astrid's true capabilities and change everything. We'll make it, Derek said, turning toward the exit. Get ready. It's time. The ship's doors opened. The team stepped into a vast, desolate landscape. The planet's surface was littered with darkened ruins, ancient structures, once home to civilizations long gone. Everything looked dead. Yet everything felt alive. The machines guarding the secrets of this world began to move. This is it, Kira whispered, tightening her grip on her weapon. We find the crystal of eternal energy. Without it, we go no further. Derek felt the tension thicken the air. This mission wasn't just about survival, it was about the future. Not only theirs, but the war they hadn't fully seen yet. A sudden flash of light ignited on the horizon. And in that moment, they realized. This planet held far more secrets than they were prepared for. Creatures dwell there, beings you would call ghosts of the past. Remnants of ancient technology and failed biological experiments. They will not allow you to simply take the artifact. You will need all your strength, knowledge, and courage to survive this path. Without the artifact, I cannot help you fully. Derek listened closely to every word. His experience told him this mission had almost no chance of success. But experience also told him something else. There was no alternative. Staying put meant death. Or worse, endless drifting through the unknown. "What are you hiding?" he asked sharply. His voice was cold, edged not only with suspicion, but exhaustion. "Why did you activate now? Why do you need us?" The holographic figure of the woman, Astrid's chosen form, smiled slightly, almost mockingly. "Everything has its moment, Captain," she replied calmly. "You are not here by accident. Your presence is the result of choices made long before you. I am part of that design." Her eyes glowed faintly. "And yes, I can help you survive. If you accept my challenge." Kira studied the hologram in silence. Her expression revealed nothing, but calculations were clearly running behind her eyes. "What exactly is the crystal of eternal energy?" she asked. "Why is it so important?" This time, Astrid's voice changed. More serious. More direct. "It is not merely a power source. It is a key to time and space. A bridge between worlds." A pause. "With it, you will unlock my true potential. And you will learn the truth about what happened to your mission, your squad, and your past, Captain." The words lingered in the air. Derek turned away, staring through the darkened viewport. For a moment, he could almost hear it again, the screams of his team as the portal tore them apart, dragging them into the anomaly. "If this is the only way," he said finally, "we'll do it." He looked back at the hologram. "But if you're lying to us, I'll find a way to destroy you. Even if it costs me my life." Astrid didn't answer right away. She only inclined her head slightly. Her eyes burned brighter. "That is the choice of the strong, Captain. Welcome aboard, Astrid." Derek clenched his fists. Kira stepped closer, placing a hand on his shoulder, cold, steady, and unexpectedly reassuring. "We'll manage, Captain," she said quietly. "We always do." The ship altered course. A new route unfolded across the displays. Their destination was marked as a dead zone, a region most explorers avoided at all costs. "Get ready for a long journey," Derek said, casting a glance at Astrid's hologram. "And you'd better be worth the lives we might lose." Astrid slipped smoothly into hyperspace, carrying them toward the next chapter of their voyage. Secrets, danger, and maybe hope awaited ahead. Derek studied the holographic map Astrid had provided. The nebula sector looked like a shapeless mass, pulling everything toward its core. Scanners detected unstable energy anomalies throughout the region. Any one of them could be fatal. "This sector's like a black hole," he muttered. "We have no idea what's waiting for us." Kira stood nearby, her voice calm, precise, pure android logic. "Nevertheless, we have no alternative. If the artifact truly activates Astrid's dormant systems, it may be the key not only to survival, but to uncovering the truth behind the ship." As if overhearing them, Astrid interjected. "I assure you, I am capable of guiding you through the dangers of the nebula sector. But without your resolve, this journey will fail." Derek leaned back in his chair, thoughtful. Every decision pushed them deeper into the unknown. "Fine," he said at last, looking from Kira to Astrid. "We go in. But if this turns into a disaster, we pull out immediately." "Decision acknowledged, Captain," Astrid replied, her faint smile once again reminding him. This ship was no mere machine. The path to the artifact. As the ship entered orbit around the nebula sector, space itself seemed to change. The stars vanished, swallowed by a thick gray-green fog. Astrid's sensors registered constant energy surges, their origin unclear. "Scan complete," Astrid reported. 2 possible routes to the artifact detected. 2 trajectories appeared on the display. The first passed through relatively stable space, but would take several days. The second was far shorter and far more dangerous, cutting directly through anomaly zones. "Thoughts?" Derek asked. "Shortest route," Kira answered without hesitation. "We've already lost too much time. The sooner we reach the artifact, the higher our chances." Astrid nodded. "The risk is extreme. However, I can offer an alternative. If one of my original system cores is restored, I can activate a protective field to counter the anomalies." Derek frowned. "And where do we get this core?" "It is located in one of my reserve compartments," Astrid explained. "Access was sealed after structural damage. You will need to open it manually." Derek sighed heavily. "All right. Show us the way. Descent into the reserve decks. The reserve compartment lay far beneath the main decks. Silence ruled here, broken only by the low hum of dormant systems. Dust and corrosion coated the walls as if this section hadn't been touched in centuries. There, Astrid said, highlighting a massive door with a dimly glowing interface. Derek and Kira stepped closer. Scanning the lock, Kira said, placing her palm against the panel. Active security. I can bypass it, but it'll take time. Move faster, Derek urged, glancing over his shoulder. Kira didn't respond. She went to work. The air grew tense. Kira, we've got company, Derek said, drawing his weapon. Figures emerged from the shadows. Ancient robots, slow, deliberate, unmistakably hostile. Defense constructs, Astrid explained. They respond to unauthorized access. Perfect, Derek muttered, raising his weapon. Just what we needed. He opened fire, covering Kira as metal bodies crashed to the floor. But there were more than he'd expected. 1 minute, Kira said calmly, still working. We don't have a minute, Derek shouted, dropping another machine. Finally, the lock disengaged. Derek, inside, Kira called. They rushed into the compartment and sealed the door behind them. That was close, Derek breathed. We're not done, Kira said, pointing toward the center of the chamber. Inside a protective capsule rested the ship's core. Derek stepped forward. All right, let's take it and get out. The moment the core activated, the room flooded with brilliant light. Astrid's voice returned, this time unmistakably serious. You have taken the first step. But the real trials are only beginning. The awakening of Astrid. The core slowly came to life, its glow filling the chamber with a soft blue radiance. Holding it, Derek felt a faint vibration like a heartbeat. What does this mean? He asked, looking at Astrid's hologram now projected at the center of the room. This core is part of my original intelligence, she replied. With its activation, I will regain access to long-lost data and awaken capabilities that have been dormant for ages. And what kind of data? Kira asked. She was already back on watch, tracking every movement around them. The history of my civilization, Astrid replied. Coordinates of other artifacts. And answers to some of your questions. A brief pause. But full integration will take time. Time is the one thing we don't have, Derek snapped. Those defense systems could break through at any moment. The core must be transferred to the primary power chamber, Astrid continued. Only there can I integrate it with my main systems. Escape through the lower decks. Then we're heading back, Derek said, holstering his weapon. Kira opened the door, and they stepped back into the dark corridors of the lower levels. The moment they started moving, an alarm ripped through the silence. Red lights flared along the walls, bathing the corridor in a harsh, pulsing glow. Fantastic. Now what? Derek muttered. All defensive protocols have been fully activated, Astrid reported. We have awakened an old security system. Of course we did, Derek growled. Kira, move. They sprinted through the narrow passageways. Behind them came the unmistakable clang of metal, heavy, deliberate steps closing in. Astrid, any chance you can help us? Derek shouted, firing at a pursuing robot. My control over these levels is limited, Astrid replied. I recommend increasing your speed. There was the faintest hint of sarcasm in her tone. Kira suddenly skidded to a halt. Here, she said, sliding open a concealed wall panel. Lift to the main deck. A lift? Derek glanced back as their pursuers drew closer. Let's hope it still works. Astrid interfaced instantly. Lift activated. You must hurry. They dove inside just as the doors slammed shut, metal fingers scraping the frame a heartbeat too late. That was close, Derek breathed, sliding down against the wall. We are not safe yet, Kira said coolly, pointing to the control panel. Power supply is unstable. The main power chamber. The lift came to a halt. They stepped into the heart of the ship, the main power chamber. This place was different. Towering columns of flowing energy surrounded the chamber, light cascading through the space like liquid fire. It was beautiful and dangerous. Place the core at the center of the platform, Astrid instructed. Derek moved forward, but then he felt it. A pressure in the air. A presence. "Kira, you feel that?" he asked. She nodded. "We're not alone." The moment Derek secured the core, the ceiling began to vibrate. Something massive descended into the chamber. A guardian. A colossal machine, ancient and terrifying. Its eyes ignited with red light. Energy core detected, the mechanical voice thundered. "Unauthorized access. Eliminate intruders." "Astrid," Derek shouted. "Any time now would be great." "I am working on it, Captain," she replied calmly. "Hold your position." Clash with the Guardian. The Guardian slammed its massive arm down, aiming to destroy the platform mid-integration. Derek and Kira split apart, opening fire. "This is not a standard defense drone," Kira yelled, barely dodging a crushing blow. "You don't say." Derek shot back, rolling clear of another strike. The Guardian was nearly indestructible. Their weapons barely scratched it. "Astrid, we can't keep this up." "Defensive field activation complete," Astrid announced. "Your move, Captain." An energy barrier flared around the platform, shielding the core. Fully integrated now, Astrid began to tap into newly awakened systems. "Captain, I recommend deploying an experimental weapon I have just unlocked." "Experimental?" Derek fired again and glanced at the hologram. "Still better than nothing." Victory. From the ceiling, massive energy cannons unfolded. They fired concentrated blasts, hammering the Guardian again and again. Its movement slowed. Its core flickered. Then collapse. The Guardian crashed to the floor with a thunderous impact. The chamber stabilized. The energy flows calmed. "Well, that's that," Derek exhaled, lowering his weapon. "Not quite," Astrid replied, her hologram reforming. "You have passed the first trial. Now we move forward." Derek smirked despite himself. "Gotta say, I love your confidence." Kira stepped closer. "What's next?" "Next," Derek said, looking at Astrid, "we find out why we're doing all this." "You're going to explain everything, right?" Astrid's lips curved into a knowing smile. "All in due time, Captain." Into Astrid's secrets. Silence returned to the power chamber, broken only by the low hum of the renewed core. Astrid's hologram grew brighter, sharper, almost human now. She looked contemplative. "Well?" Derek crossed his arms. "What answers were worth risking our lives for?" Astrid met his gaze. "The restored portion of my intelligence has revealed much, but not everything. However, I now know the locations of the next keynotes required to awaken the rest of my memory." Kira frowned. "Keynotes? Sounds like a trap. We're supposed to run across the galaxy fighting more Guardians like that?" "Most likely," Astrid said evenly. "But it is the only path." "And what exactly are we chasing?" Derek asked, stepping closer. "The truth, Captain," Astrid replied. "The truth about who destroyed my civilization, and why. And that matters to us because?" Kira tilted her head, hand still resting on her weapon. Astrid looked at her, her voice colder than before. "Because the force that annihilated my creators did not vanish. It is growing. And it has already left traces in your region of the galaxy." "Most likely," Astrid replied calmly. "But it's the only way." "And what exactly are we looking for?" Derek stepped closer, his voice steady. "The truth, Captain," Astrid said. "The truth about who destroyed my civilization, and why. And this matters to us because?" Kira tilted her head slightly, one hand still resting on her weapon. Astrid turned toward her, her voice colder than before. "Because the threat that wiped out my creators didn't disappear. It's growing. And it has already left traces in your part of the galaxy." "A hint of a threat." "A threat?" Derek asked. "Are we talking about something specific, or is this just a general warning?" He tried to keep his voice even, though unease was creeping in. Astrid paused before answering. "I don't have enough data yet. But analysis of fragmented records points to an ancient force, one tied to the manipulation of time and space. They've left marks on countless worlds. Their activity is increasing." "Great," Kira smirked sarcastically. "So now we're not just pirates. We're also hunters of ancient relics?" "If that's what it takes to save you and billions of others, then yes," Astrid replied evenly. Derek took a deep breath. All right. Let's say we're in. Where do we look for the next piece of your memory? Astrid projected coordinates onto the screen. A small planet in the Molyneux Belt. It's long been considered uninhabited, but my data suggests a hidden underground facility. The next artifact may be there. Kira studied the map, frowning. That belt is a gravitational nightmare. Unstable zones everywhere. Almost no one flies there. Which makes it the perfect place to hide something valuable, Derek said. A new course. Then get ready, the captain said, straightening up. Kira, check the weapons and fuel reserves. We've got less than a day to prepare. Kira nodded, her expression softening just a little. Aye, Captain. When she left the compartment, Derek remained alone with the hologram. What else are you hiding, Astrid? If I knew more, I'd tell you. Her voice grew quieter. But be careful, Derek. The enemy you'll face doesn't forgive mistakes. Derek didn't reply. He turned and left the room, already running contingency plans through his mind for the moment when everything went wrong. The appearance of Calum. Location: a ruined planet, hidden from civilization. In the background, collapsed, forgotten structures swallowed by vegetation. The crew of Astrid explores an ancient world that may hold artifacts crucial to restoring their ship. As Derek Hale and his team moved between shattered columns, stones crunched beneath their boots, and the air was thick with the scent of decay. Everything was silent. Too silent. Even the rusted structures didn't creak. We're close, Derek said, glancing at the map. These ruins should be part of an ancient laboratory. The artifacts we're after have to be here. They advanced cautiously, weapons ready. Yet, despite their alertness, none of them felt the space around them distort. Then it happened. From beneath a slab of stone, a figure emerged so still and subtle that it had seemed like part of the landscape. Calum stood in the shadows, unmoving as if fused with the ruins. Old plants wrapped around his body. His skin was dark, almost stone-like, and his eyes glowed blue, like living electricity, as though they could see not only space, but time itself. Who are you? Derek asked, weapon raised. His voice was low, as if he didn't want to break the strange harmony of the place. Calum remained silent, his gaze calm and focused, as though he had been waiting to be noticed. I am not the one you're looking for, he finally said. His voice sounded like wind whispering through stone. But I am the one you need. The team tensed instantly. They didn't know who or what he was, but his presence was overwhelming, sudden, as if he were part of the planet itself. Derek took a careful step forward. Why are you watching us? What do you want? Calum nodded toward the ruined structures, where a faint but sharp light flickered, the same signal marked on their map. The artifact. These ruins don't just hide technology. They hide memory. My memory. The memory of those who came before me. I'm here to finish what my ancestors began. The air grew heavy. They weren't alone, and that realization cut through them like cold water. I'm not human, Calum continued. I'm the last of those who were destroyed while searching for answers you may soon be asking yourselves. Don't be afraid. I'm not your enemy. I'm the only thread connecting you to what lies ahead. Studying him, Derek felt it clearly. This wasn't just a mysterious stranger. Calum was something far greater, something woven into the fabric of time itself. You know what we're looking for? Calum inclined his head slightly. I do. And if you want to reach your goal, I'll guide you. But understand this, some knowledge comes with consequences. Derek hesitated. Beings like this couldn't simply be ignored. Calum was a key to doors that had never been opened. You're coming with us? Calum stepped forward, his form dissolving into the half-light, as if he were becoming part of the world again. If you want answers, I must. His voice faded. No doubt. No fear. Only certainty. And in that moment, the crew of Astrid understood. Their journey had only just begun. The hidden signal. When Derek stepped onto the bridge, Astrid was already showing signs of distress. The interface, normally calm and balanced, had shifted to a dull gray, with faint flickers at the edges of the display. Derek immediately felt the change. The ship's hologram was usually warm, almost playful. Today, it looked withdrawn, as if hiding behind an invisible wall. Derek, Astrid's voice sounded unusually tense. We have a problem. He turned toward the display. Instead of her full holographic form, only a faint silhouette hovered in the corner of the screen. What happened? We received a signal, she said. Weak. Distorted. But it's coming from one of the planets we've heard about before, the world where Calem's race was destroyed. Derek stiffened. Signals like that were never good news. Too faint to be accidental. Too deliberate to ignore. Could it be a trap? Possibly, Astrid replied. But something doesn't add up. This isn't just noise or encrypted data. It's almost like a call for help. Derek studied the star map as new coordinates appeared, pointing to a long-forgotten world buried in ruins and secrets. What do we do? He asked quietly. Do we go? The hologram hesitated. Concern, real concern, slipped into her voice. Silence hung in the air. It's a risk, Astrid said. But if that signal isn't random, we need to know who's behind it. And if it's truly connected to Calem, then his answers could be the key. Derek paused. He knew the crew was ready for almost anything, but he also understood that this time they might be facing something far more dangerous than anything they'd encountered before. All right. We're going, he said firmly. But if anything goes wrong, activate the ship's defenses. Prepare the crew. Understood, Captain, the hologram replied, tension audible in her voice. Derek left the bridge without another word and headed toward the crew quarters. It was time to move. Time to find out what was hiding behind that strange signal. As the crew prepared for the journey, Astrid continued to show signs of instability. Her hologram flickered, cutting in and out at irregular intervals. It unsettled the captain because it meant the danger wasn't only outside the ship. Something inside Astrid itself was off. We need to make sure her systems are operating at full capacity, Derek muttered, more to himself than anyone else. We can't afford a failure at a moment like this. Meanwhile, Kira was at her station, checking the armory, securing weapons and equipment for the upcoming planetary expedition. The rising tension was obvious now. Everyone felt it. If the signal truly came from an ancient threat, then they were about to face an enemy whose power was far greater than anything they could imagine. Only now, standing on the edge of the unknown, did they begin to realize that what had started as a routine artifact hunt might lead them straight into the deepest secrets of the universe, and into a war against unseen forces that manipulated time and space itself. If something goes wrong, Derek said sharply, we'll be ready for any outcome. Prep the ship, Kira. We leave immediately. Astrid's hologram faded from the screen. The captain turned to the rest of the crew. He knew this wouldn't be just another ruined settlement or hidden base. This felt older, darker. Something that threatened not only their mission, but every living thing in the galaxy. Kira returned with updated charts and supplies, nodding as she took her place. Malik, usually quick with a joke, was deadly serious this time. They weren't just hunting artifacts anymore. They were stepping toward something that could change everything. Everyone ready? Derek asked, scanning the bridge. The crew stood tense but resolute. All systems ready, Captain, Malik replied, focused. We can't afford a single mistake. Time is not on our side, Calem added. His cold gaze moved across the displays, as if he were seeing far more than what appeared on the screen. What we seek may no longer be just history. It may be the beginning of a new threat. Derek nodded. No more words were needed. The guiding star. As Astrid broke free from the planet's atmosphere, space swallowed the ship, and their course toward the mysterious world began. Avoiding standard routes, they followed unstable trajectories designed to keep them hidden. They knew the path would be dangerous. The galaxy did not forgive those who broke its ancient rules. How long until we arrive? Kira asked from the controls. If everything goes smoothly, about 12 hours, Derek replied, watching the hyperspace readouts. Once we hit the planet's gravitational field, we'll need maximum precision. Hours passed. Then, emerging from near space, the planet appeared before them. It looked abandoned, scarred by time and decay. Everything around it felt dead. Yet beneath the ruins left behind by long-lost civilizations lay the answers they were searching for. "We're approaching," Derek said. "Be ready for anything. Stay close. Stay sharp." The planet greeted them like an old acquaintance long forgotten. A gray sky, crumbling structures, strange resonances humming through the air. It felt like no living being had walked here for centuries. When Astrid touched down, the crew moved quickly, gathering their gear. The surface offered no comfort, but retreat was no longer an option. Calum was the first to step outside. His movements were silent, deliberate. No fear, no hesitation. He moved as if he belonged here, blending with shadow, with time itself. "The artifact is somewhere here," he said, gesturing toward the ancient ruins. "The marks my ancestors left behind preserved their memory within these walls." This wasn't just destruction. It was a process. And every process leaves consequences. Derek and the others followed, knowing that every step could be their last. Soon, they reached the heart of the ruins, where a hidden doorway opened, descending into darkness. "We're here," Calum said, his voice echoing through the dark corridors below. "Follow me."